Okay, guys, good morning. Happy emancipation, happy independence. We are in August in Jamaica and we're celebrating indeed our freedom and our heritage. And so I just want to welcome you all to the Money Talk show this morning. And I have some fresh new content for you. For all you sales representatives, remember this is your month. And I'm going to be going through the sales cycle with you today. I'm going to go through the first part of the sales cycle with you today. And I think it's one of the most important parts of the sales cycle because without this, your business will fail. Without this, you will fail. And as a salesperson, you are your business, but your business isn't you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, every salesperson is like a mini CEO, right? You are in charge of your business. You are in charge of your commission. You are in charge of what you will do. So you are the one who is ultimately responsible for your production. Yes, you may have a sales manager. Yes, you may have a CEO, but you account to yourself at the end of the day because you will determine ultimately if you will be able to put a pot on the fire. You will be the one who you have to look at in the mirror and say, my God, what have I done this month with my sales? So let's get into it. The number one problem that most salespersons have today, right? It's not an image problem. It's not a branding problem. It's not a knowledge based. It's not a lack of skills or training. It's simply not having enough prospects, not prospecting enough. You know, years ago I did a training. Back then I was doing a training in multi-level marketing, and I didn't understand what the gentleman was saying, that the number one problem that most persons will face when it comes on to recruiting or when it comes on to growing a business is actually prospecting, getting new recruits or new clients, right? And any problem that you'll ever have or face in your business or in your sales life is going to be solved by one thing: prospecting, aka getting new people. It's the biggest problem we have. And also, whenever our business is slow, or whenever things aren't going well, or whenever our income goes down, it's the biggest solution to our problem: to prospect. Wow, that just blew my mind a while ago. You mean that it can both damage us, but at the same time, it's the best thing that we can do for ourselves? Right. You guys need to learn how to prospect properly, right? And so a lot of the times persons think that, okay, I call somebody on the phone, that's a prospect. No, that is not a prospect. When you are generating leads, right? You're generating leads based on your life experience. You're generating leads based on your customer, your client profile. Like for me, for example, my client profile would, let's say for argument's sake, be persons who have dependents, meaning persons who are in probably a committed relationship. Maybe they have a spouse, or maybe those persons are married, or maybe they have children, or maybe they have elderly persons looking after. So my client profile generally will want to be persons who are not single, but persons who have a commitment to somebody else, dependents. So I'm painting my client profile for you. Secondly, my client profile is usually persons who are over the age of 26 years old. Why? Because most persons who are 25 and under, they tend to not have an awareness or a sense of the significance of the products and services that I have to sell for them. So most of the times when I would probably sell them a product or service, I find that because these guys don't have any dependents, their why wasn't big enough for having the product in the first place. They didn't understand the significance of having the product, that they lose the product because of lack of payment for the product or maintenance of the product. So generally, I do not go for persons who are 25 and under, especially if they don't have any dependents or if they don't have a big why. I like to have persons who are more mature and persons who are more focused. Thirdly, My client profile, I tend to go after professional people. I tend to go after persons who are university graduates, for argument's sake, persons who have a sense of reasoning ability, persons who have a sense of responsibility, persons who have a sense that they want to contribute significantly to their family and their family's future. I like persons who are also professional because those persons tend to have a steady source of income. Why am I so important? Why am I stressing on the importance of a steady source of income? I'm stressing on this factor because I want clients who are able to afford my product over the long term. I want persons or clients who have the stability so that day in, day out, they can actually afford the product and they understand the benefits of the products that they will have for themselves and long term in their life, right? So I've painted a profile for you. Each salesperson needs to know their ideal client profile. If you don't know who you're looking for, you won't know where to look. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't know where you're looking, how can you find what you're looking for? You need to know who you're looking for. So you need to create a client profile. So from this client profile that I've painted, persons who have dependents, or they have a spouse, or they have some sort of commitment to somebody else, persons who are above a particular age, and also persons who are professional, having a university degree, doctors, lawyers, pharmacists, customer service reps who are able to have that steady source of income, who can pay for the product. I know where to look, and because I know where to look, that is now where I will look for my prospects. That's where I will look to generate my leads. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Generating the leads is so important. You have to know where to look. Great. So now that I know where to look, now that I know my client profile, I need to start contacting persons and reaching out to persons, making initial contact. Now, these persons are suspects. They're suspects. I have to generate the lead from my client profile. I have to reach out to them, and once I've reached out to them and we've had that initial discussion and I've put forward my positioning statement and I've found out if this person can benefit from my product or not, then I'm looking to book an appointment. Guys, COVID has taught us that we need to use an omni-channel approach where, before meeting with clients face to face was everything, but COVID kind of made that taboo. But trying to sell over the phone after the first call, or trying to sell to a person after you made initial contact with them, having a conversation like you walk up to somebody at a cafe and they fit the profile, that's not going to work. What you really need to do is bam, book a meeting. You want to set an appointment with your potential prospect. When you go out and you're looking for suspects, if you suspect somebody and you approach them via phone call, or if you approach them by walking up to them, after you've had that initial discussion, and we're going to go through the anatomy of a client call, because cold calling, or cold calling over the phone, or cold calling where you walk up to somebody and do an introduction, you can find out very quickly if this person is interested in what you have to offer, and we're going to go through that in a later episode. So after you have suspected the person and you approach them, you need to book a meeting. You need to want to set a time, with a Zoom, with a WhatsApp call, or any other medium, Microsoft Teams, or meeting with them in person, where you can have 10 minutes and get a breakdown if the person is really the prospect for you. Good. So up to that time, they're suspects because you don't really know if they're gonna buy, because you have to go through maybe 60 suspects before you perhaps get 30 prospects. And after you get 30 prospects, you have to go through a qualification process, right? Where we talk about discovery needs analysis. Good. And when you're discovering the needs of your client now, those 30 prospects are going to even further break down to uh, 15 qualified persons. So if you made 60 calls for the month, you would further break that down to 30 prospects, and then you'd further break that down to 15 qualified persons, and maybe to close the month you might close it actually 10 to 15 clients, depending on how those qualified prospects or the qualified prospecting process went. So you understand, guys, this is a lot of work, but the biggest thing you need to know right now is that you need to be prospecting like crazy. The biggest solution to any problem in your business as a sales executive is not having enough prospects in your pipeline. You have to have it running like a tap, like a faucet. You see what I'm saying? You have to have that well, so that, okay, the sales cycle is each month. Some person's sales cycle is for 4 weeks. Some person's sales cycle is for 6 weeks. But you want to make sure that at the end of the month and at the beginning of a new month, that your well isn't dry. So you have to dig your well before you're thirsty. In other words, you have to have a constant supply of suspects. You have to have a constant supply of prospects, because not all of them are going to materialize at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be constantly contacting persons. You have to be constantly having discussion with persons. Cold calling is a must. You have to be constantly booking meetings. And when you're booking your meeting now, this is where you're going to do your discovery needs analysis, right? You're going to be asking a lot of questions of the person. You're going to be listening to them. You need to find out what is their pain points, right? What is the thing that can bother? What's the thing that bothers them? Because at the end of the day, salesperson are solution finders. If there's no problem to solve, you will not make any money. If you cannot find a pain point, you cannot convince them, or you cannot get a commitment from them. You need for them to have a compelling reason to buy the product. And that comes out in discovery needs analysis when you book a meeting. You need to find out what makes them tick. What's important to them? Again, what's their pain point? What's their why? What's most important to them and their business? What's the biggest problem that they have to solve in their business right now? And you do that by having a discussion, right? And when you have a discussion, what you want to do is you want to identify, right, the size of the problem. Identify what the problem is, and you have a discussion with them. So in identifying what the problem is, you want to discuss with them, how is it, manifesting in the business right now. You identify what are the triggers, what's the real reason why they're having this problem right now. And then you want to, after you have found out how it manifests, you want to find out how big a deal is this problem for them. You ask probing questions, you ask open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are questions that you ask to get a response to, versus a closed-ended question where you ask a closed-ended question that's like a yes or no question. You want them to discuss more. Why do you want to do this? Because ultimately you want to seize the moment, because you want to understand the magnitude and the impact of what this problem is to them. And when you understand the magnitude and the impact of what the problem is to them, you can now measure it in terms of a cost. What is this really costing them right now? And once you can measure the cost to something, you can jump in and you can tailor a solution to their needs. You see what I'm saying? You have to ask probing questions, open-ended questions. You have to learn to be a consultative seller. And this is a process where we do the discovery needs analysis. And once you get this information now, you have discovered the needs, you can then begin to qualify your prospect. We'll go into this in the next episode of the Money Talk Show, the sales edition. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please remember to like and subscribe to the show. Please ask your questions. This is for you sales agents. We're going straight to the top this month. Thank you so much. Blessings.